very conscious of your time. So I just wanted to say a big hello and thank you for investing an hour of your time into learning about partnerships. It's something that I am very, very passionate about. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Katrina McCarter, and I want to share with you, I want to kick off by sharing with you my passion around partnerships. And that really happened through a belief shift that I made in my very first business, which was a business called Bubbler Deals that I launched back in 2011. I set up this business when I was 39 and I had 3 small children. I had had a 5-year career break, and where I was living in a completely different location to where my corporate background was. So I had none of that corporate network available to me. But I found one night after talking with my girlfriends, I spotted an idea for something that I felt wasn't being met in the market. And I don't know if any of you remember Groupon or Scoopon, the big group buying sites. They had just launched in Australia, and all my girlfriends were talking about these amazing half-price massages and things that they were getting. And what I noticed was that no one was actually catering for the family market, and no one was really catering for mothers. And so I raised a small amount of capital, and I dived in and launched this business. But I was really nervous about actually investing some of this capital that I had from my shareholders. I remember doing my first piece of advertising, which I think was a print campaign that cost me $300, and I heard absolute crickets. For me, I may as well have thrown the money out the window. And one night, fairly despondent, I reached out to another mother who had a business, an online business that spoke to the same audience as mine, but wasn't in direct competition with me. And we were just having a catch up and we were sharing startup stories. And off the cuff, I asked her, hey, would you like to actually run a joint competition together where the mode of entry to enter our competition would be to sign up to both of our newsletters? She absolutely jumped in at the opportunity, but she said, hey, why don't we reach out to somebody else as well? And I reached out, in fact, to the largest online community of mothers in Australia at that time. And I spoke with the founder and I shared, that we were going to be doing this joint competition, and asked her, would she like to get involved if I could secure a really fantastic prize? Now, to my surprise, even though I was a fairly new starter in the marketplace, she said yes. And I spent the next couple of weeks negotiating 2 Thermomixes as a prize. And I went out and I ran this joint competition where people could win one of 2 Thermomixes. Now, over 10 days, I added more than 7,000 new members to my website. Now, just to put that into some perspective, if I had gone out and done this using marketing or advertising to secure those 7,000 new members, it would have cost me in excess of $10,000. So this, to be able to get 7,000 new members in 10 days at the cost to me that was just some graphics, was for me a real revelation. And that's really where my love of partnerships came about. I then went on and collaborated with dozens and dozens of online communities of mothers that were my ideal audiences. And I ran these joint competitions. And as I said, it really only cost me some of my time to negotiate the prize sponsor and also the graphics. This enabled me to grow my database, my community of mothers, to 150,000 women across Australia over 5 years. and I never spent more than $300 a month on any of my marketing activities. And I did so because I relied exclusively on partnerships. So this for me was the beginning of my obsession with partnerships. And I've really taken partnerships into our way of doing business, and into all my subsequent businesses. I really believe that business owners, particularly small business owners, are really one or two good partnerships away from really strong business success. And I've made partnerships my obsession over the last 10 years since I've been in business. So for those of you who don't know who I am, because I know we've got a lot of people coming onto the webinar from all over the world, in fact, who aren't familiar with me, I'm fairly well known for another business called Marketing to Mums. And this is a marketing consultancy which works with startups right through to corporates, helping them identify what their most profitable segment of the mum market is and helping them attract more of those mums to their business. I've also am an author. Back in 2016, I launched my first book, which was a how-to book pitched at small business owners. And in 2019, I launched my second book in New York called The Mother of All Opportunities. I am a massive researcher. I really believe in having that research evidence and insight to be able to provide insights and strategies for my clients. And I get to share that research now right across the world. So I've spoken in Europe, and I speak normally every year in America, unfortunately not last year. But I also have a podcast known as the Marketing to Mums podcast. And more recently, over the last 2 years, I've become known for partnerships and really working with small business owners and entrepreneurs to help them successfully identify and negotiate marketing partnerships. And I've recently launched that as a standalone brand called Partnership Mastery. So what are we covering off today? Over the next 45 minutes, there are really 3 things that I want to cover off with you. First up, and where we're going to spend the bulk of our time, is I really want to share with you 7 ways that you can use partnerships to actually grow your business this year. This is really designed, I want to show you the magic of partnerships, and I want to show you how broadly they could be used. And I'm hoping to really get some ideas flowing for you about how you might use partnerships in your business. I also want to share with you that if you're going to use partnerships, what are the 5 kind of ingredients that you need to make sure that you're successful? And then towards the end, I'm just going to share with you some details of my 6-week partnership mastery program. So I would ask, if you have questions, if you could save those towards the end. I will be opening up for Q&A time, and at that time I'll ask you to put them into the chat box, please. And I would ask if you can also make sure that your microphones are muted. That would be greatly appreciated. So please grab your pen and paper. I really want to get your ideas flowing, and I'm going to be sharing a lot of stories with you. And they're stories about how I've used marketing partnerships, but I want it to spark some ideas for you, and I want to make sure that you capture those ideas as well, so that you can take them off and implement them in your business this year. So before we kick off, I really want to talk about, what is a marketing partnership, just to make sure that we're all on the same page. For me, it's simply when 2 or more businesses or parties come together for mutual benefit. Some people call them JVs or collabs or collaborations or partnership marketing. I really see them all pretty much as the same. It's essentially 2 or more parties just coming together, and they're both equally benefiting. For me, there's a few principles that every good partnership has in play. Straight up, they're talking to the same audience, but they're not in competition with each other. That's a really, really important one. The second one is that there's an equal exchange of value taking place. And this is perceived equal exchange of value as well. So there aren't any kind of hard and fast rules when it comes to partnerships. It's all really about what you negotiate, and that is seen as a fair deal. Now, the third principle that I see with every successful partnership, and one that's often overlooked, so I really want to make sure that we say this nice and early, is that for a partnership to be successful, the businesses involved or the parties involved have to have the same business ethics or share common values. I've been tripped up on this before in my early journey using partnerships, where I partnered with the wrong business. And certainly my community let me know. So this is an important one, to really make sure that you're doing your homework on businesses or parties that you are considering partnering with. So what I did want to say to you is that the pandemic that we have has given up an enormous opportunity for small business owners. Right now, many big brands have got reduced marketing budgets. And what that means is that they are looking for new ways, new creative ways to get things done. Partnerships are really growing in popularity and interest, particularly with the big brands. And there is absolutely nothing stopping a small business from partnering with a big brand. And I'm going to show you a few examples of that as we go through the webinar. So now there has never been a better time to be partnering, particularly with those big businesses. So I wanted to share that with you. So let us dive into the first part of the webinar, and that is those 7 ways that you can consider using partnerships to grow your business this year. So straight up, first one that I would say is you can use a partnership to position your business in the marketplace. And I think this is really important, particularly given a lot of businesses have actually looked to pivot over the last 12 months, and they might be repositioning themselves in the marketplace. Using a partner to leverage their position can really help you. And I'm going to show you an example. When I first launched my first business, Bubbler, which was that deal site, everyone told me about their bad experience on a group buying site. You know, it was the first thing they saw. They were seen as untrustworthy, and I needed to find a way to be seen as trustworthy, so people would buy from me on my website. Some of my deals were priced up to $1,000 for holidays, and I needed to have that credibility and trustworthiness. So I used a partner to do that. I partnered with the playgroup associations around the country, and the one here that I'm sharing with you is Playgroup WA. They had been around for decades supporting my ideal audience, being new mums, and they were seen as highly credible and very trustworthy. So I set up a partnership where 5% of any of my sales would go through to a playgroup in WA of their nomination. So what it enabled Playgroup to do was to fundraise, and for me, it allowed me to position my business as trustworthy and credible. And that really, really helped me in getting people buying off the website from the get-go. Another way that I've used partnerships to position myself has been with the launch of my second book. I launched this in New York in front of the world leaders in the marketing to moms space. And this really helped me position myself outside of Australia as an international expert on the subject of marketing to mums. So I leveraged the event. I delivered the keynote address, and everyone there who attended actually got a copy of my book, and they supported that with signings. So the question that I ask you, and perhaps the notes to make here, is around, is there a business or is there a party or an entity or a personality who you could leverage to position your business? So who is seen favorably by your ideal client that you could potentially partner with? If you've got an idea on that, I would encourage you to write that down. So that was the first one. The second way that you could use a partnership is really to fund a project. I have a lot of people that will come to me and say, you know, I want to write a book or I want to launch a podcast, but I don't have the funds to do so. Partnerships can be a really great way to get those projects off the ground and get them funded through a partner. And a great example would be when I launched my first, or when I wrote my first book, which was Marketing to Mums. It was back in 2015 that I was writing this book into 2016. I was terrified. I hadn't seen myself as a writer or an author, but I was committed to writing this book. So I wanted to make sure that I had a fantastic editor. And I managed to secure a woman by the name of Andrea McNamara, who was one of the lead publishers with Penguin Random House. She had just left, and she was interested and curious about the self-publishing industry, and she agreed to work with me as my editor and to manage the book production process. But that obviously came at a price for me. And as a startup, I had only just launched Marketing to Mums. I really wanted to find a way that I could fund that activity. And so I really thought about who's the likely reader of my book. And I believed that the women were entering business at 3 times the rate of men. So it was likely to be a female reader who had a business that was targeting mothers. And I thought that they must be an area of interest, a segment of interest for Xero, because they really focused in on the small business market, which was where a lot of the women were setting up their businesses. So I knew no one at Xero, but I made a cold approach, and over a period of 3 weeks negotiated a partnership, which enabled me to fund my great editor. And it also allowed Xero to develop some relationships with that female audience. So there was mutual benefit there. Another thing that I did was I then went up and had a look at how much it was going to cost me to actually post my book to anyone who purchased it. And I was really shocked to find out how expensive it was to put the book in the post. So I thought about can I just ask you to put your microphone on mute, please? Who was also trying to target that small business market that was in the courier business. And I had been following a business called Sendle, which was a technology platform that distributed, had a series of couriers. And I approached their CEO, again, not knowing anyone, and had negotiated for Sendle to distribute my book for a period of 12 months. And in return, I co-branded a bookmark with Sendle in my book as it was distributed, and also had an offer for all of my small business clients. So there was great mutual value there for both parties as well. In terms of launching that book, I had watched a number of my fellow authors invest in fairly significant book launches that were quite costly, and I was looking to minimize my costs in promoting and launching this book. So I looked for where was my audience going to be, and there was a conference coming up that had 250 mothers in business who I felt were going to be my key reader, and I was able to launch my book at that event at no cost to me through a partnership as well. Similarly, when I launched my podcast, I did that in conjunction with a partner. I found someone who had a great marketing technology platform that was complementary to my business and would offer great value to my clients. And I really liked the product, the service that they offered. And I approached them to sponsor the podcast for the first year. So there's a lot of opportunities there for you if you have got a project that you really want to get off the ground, whether that's a new service offering or whether that might be a podcast or a book for you. I want you to think about who else is trying to talk to that audience and what are some of the things that might be valuable to them that you could offer them in response for that investment of getting that project off the ground for you. So that was the second idea. The third way that you could actually use a partnership is to actually gain new leads. And this is one that I have used quite a lot. I will often tee up and bring the insights and do a presentation into someone else's community. In this particular example, I gave a guest masterclass into Andrew Griffiths' community. Andrew Griffiths is a well-known small business and entrepreneurial futurist who has a very large loyal following. I was able to come in and share some of the benefits of marketing partnerships, and that enabled me to gather a number of leads into my program. So I want you to think about, are there opportunities? Where can you tap into your audience of ideal clients? Who has that audience that might represent a really good partner for you? I've had a client who actually had a program that she was about to launch, and she was able to guest in a very large and highly engaged community of newborn mothers. And in response, in return for doing the Q&A session for them, they actively promoted her program for her. So I want you to be thinking about, what ideas is this sparking for you? So the fourth way that you could use partnerships to grow your business this year is certainly around growing your profile. And what I mean by that, it's really about positioning yourself as the expert in your industry, or the key person in your industry, and being top of mind all the time in front of your ideal clients. One of the ways that I do this is that I form content marketing partnerships. And that is where I might write or I might become a content source for particular media outlets that have my ideal client, that have a strong base for my ideal client. That enables me to be top of mind. I would really encourage you to be thinking about, what are the media that your ideal clients are consuming? And are there opportunities for you to form content marketing partnerships where you regularly write for that outlet so that you can be top of mind? One of the great benefits of doing this is that it also, by raising your profile, what it also does is it makes you more attractive to potential other partnerships as well. So this is a really, really important one, and one that I'm always talking to my clients about. Another way that I'm doing this is that I actually run research, and I now reach out to my journalist partners and ask, is there specific information that they want to know about? Because that's going to increase the likelihood that they're going to pick up the article. And I regularly now do this for a couple of the mainstream media. So I want you to think about, where are those media outlets where you could become a content source to really increase your profile? The fifth way that you could use partnerships to really grow your business this year is actually in creating a new income stream. My partnership mastery business, this came about because a partner actually spoke to me about they wanted me to teach their clients how to do marketing partnerships. But there are a lot of ways that you could potentially create an income stream through partnerships. Only this morning, I was actually speaking to one of my clients who had just confirmed a number of referral partnerships. She had been referring clients out to a number of different organisations for the past few years. But what she's gone back and now done is she's negotiated a payment for every one of those clients that she is referring on. And that is creating an income source for her business. But there's other really innovative ways that you might be able to create a new income source. One of my clients actually is a podcaster, and prior to COVID, he actually created a new income source by being a live podcaster at conferences. So what it gave him was a great access to some terrific guests, because the keynote speakers would come off stage and then they would live podcast an interview. But what that gave the conference organisers was new excitement, and they were seen as really innovative to have a podcast partner, and it provided them with content that they could share well beyond the conference as well. And he was there paid, so it created a new income stream for him as well. So there's innovative ways that you can create those income streams for your business, and I'm hoping that this might be sparking some ideas for you. The sixth way that you could use a partnership to actually grow your business this year is simply in growing your email list. We certainly know that there's certainly about 8, anywhere up to 11 touch points that you need to have with a prospective client before they're likely to come on board with you and purchase your goods or your services. So there's a nurturing time that happens, and where you need to build that relationship. And so having them on your email list provides you that opportunity to do so. So partnerships can be a great way to grow your email list. Now, I shared earlier with you one of the ways that I grew my email list for my first business was through joint competitions. But you might have a downloadable PDF with some valuable content on it, or you might be able to give a joint webinar, and that can also represent a great opportunity for you to be growing your email list. But that is something that I would be considering. The seventh way, and this is one that I use quite extensively to grow my business, not just to grow my business, but really to grow my profits, is using partnerships to save money. And I've showed you a couple of ideas already in terms of ways that I've used partnerships to save money, particularly in funding projects, getting projects off the ground. But there are other ways as well. And one of the things that I'm really committed to doing is undertaking research in my Marketing to Mums business around mums' behaviours here in Australia. But one of the obstacles to running research is that it can be really, really expensive. If you go to a consumer panel, you can pay somewhere between $5 and $8 to have one survey completed. So it can be very, very costly if you're wanting more than 1,000 surveys completed. So one of the ways I've used a partnership to reduce that expense is that I have formed a partnership with a large community of mothers. Now, they allow me to run my research through their community in exchange for doing some speaking for their advertising clients. So really, really simple. And that allows me to get the research data that I need, that I've now even packaged up and use as a downloadable on my website to grow my email list as well. So that saved me thousands and thousands of dollars. Another way that I have used partnerships to actually save money has actually been I speak quite a lot, and I was traveling a lot doing speaking before we were all in lockdown, and I hate ironing. I absolutely hate ironing. And so I found a designer that I liked to wear her clothes when I was speaking. They could be rolled in a ball, thrown into a suitcase, and they wouldn't require ironing over at the other end. And I was always getting comments about them from the audience. So I thought, rather than purchasing new dresses all the time for my speaking engagements, that I would approach the designer. I didn't know the designer, and when I initially made contact, she didn't respond in any way. But I decided not to give up, and I tried another avenue, and I went through their customer service team. And what transpired was, over the next 9 months, the designer actually supplied me with all my clothing for all my speaking gigs, saving me hundreds and thousands of dollars. So I just, I'm not suggesting that you all run off and get a fashion designer to fund you, but I'm wanting to show you just how creatively partnerships can actually be used to save money for you in your business. So have you had a look at some of your suppliers, and are there ways that you could creatively use a partnership to save you money? So if we just did a recap on those 7 ways that you could use partnerships this year to grow your business, we talked about you could use them to position your business. We talked about funding new projects. You know, don't be held up to get a new project off the ground because you don't have the funds available. Look to partnerships. You can use partnerships to gain a steady stream of new clients, which will mean that you'll be able to have less reliance on other paid marketing activities. We talked about growing your profile. Where you become the expert through those content marketing partnerships. And that's one that I think everyone should be looking at. We also spoke about that you can create additional income streams through partnerships. We talked about how you could grow your list so you could nurture new clients, and also ways that you might consider saving money in your business and boosting up your profits through partnerships. What I would love to hear from you in the chat right now is, was there a particular partnership idea that really resonated with you? Was there something there, one of those 7 ideas, that you think might have some promise in your business? So Shane has just jumped on and said, growing your email list. Fantastic. What about it? Same? Yeah, it's a great, there's lots of great ways to be growing your email list through partnerships. So Josh was the same. What about everyone else? Were there some ideas out of these that really helped you? Jane said positioning your business, growing your profile. Yeah, absolutely. I want to show you that they can be really creatively used. It depends on what your business objectives are. So really for me, I always start with what is it that I'm trying to get done in my business this year? And then I look, how can partnerships help me get there faster? So that's always been my approach. What I would love to share with you now is to actually have a look at, if you're going to be successful with partnerships this year, I really want you to be considering these 5 success factors, because it's something that I see time and again. Those people that are successful with their partnerships do these things. The first one is that they adopt an opportunity mindset. When they're presented with a challenge and an obstacle in their business, they look to use partnerships to solve that problem. And a great example is Steph Thompson. Steph Thompson has written a book called The Day My Vagina Broke, and it's really written for women who have experienced pelvic organ prolapse. She sold out of her first print run, and she was presented with she needed to get another print run done. So creatively, rather than putting out that money and delaying her print run, she had a look at a partner, and she knew that Modibodi, which do period underwear, would be a great partner for her. And through sponsorship, they have actually paid for the second print run of this book in exchange for Steph actually doing some work in her community of women who also have pelvic organ prolapse. So what she's done is she's really taken an opportunity mindset, in that she was presented with the problem. She didn't have the funds for this second book, and then she's looked for how could she use a partner to get that funded. So that was a great example. The second success factor that I think is really, really critical is demonstrating mutuality. I can't tell you how many partnership pitches that I get that are all about someone else's business and what they can do. And they really haven't thought about what they might be able to offer me. There's not that feeling of mutuality. There's not that equal exchange of value. Someone who has really embraced mutuality is Heathcote Gin. So Claire Voighton is the founder of Heathcote Gin, and I believe Claire might even be here today on the webinar. She launched this business about a year ago, and she launched this into Dan Murphy's, the #1 liquor outlet here in Australia. And she took a really strong partnership approach. And she saw that it wasn't her responsibility just to get this on the shelf at Dan Murphy, but she was really committed to making sure that they shared the common goal of selling the product through. And so Claire also supported Dan Murphy's by running masterclasses. She delivered a lot of the product so that she could actually meet a lot of the spirit specialists, so she could share the Heathcote Gin story. She did lots of tastings in store, and what that has done is there's a really strong partnership relationship now, and she's been able to grow the number of SKUs that she has in the Dan Murphy stores. So, and it's really been testament to her commitment to that mutuality, that mutual benefit. The third success factor that I see is absolutely critical in success on partnerships is actually staying really focused in on your business objectives. And that's what I was just saying a few minutes ago. I always start with what are your business objectives first, and then look at how partnerships can help you. And a great example is Katie Krismali Marshall. She is a financial coach for the trade industry, and she had already partnered with the author of Profit First, and she had created Profit First for tradies. Now, her objective was to get this in the hands of 1,500 tradies in Australia as quickly as possible. That was her business objective. And she was just due to launch her book when COVID hit and we all went into lockdown. So she looked at ways that she could reach tradies quickly. And she formed a partnership with TradiePad, which is a large business coaching community of tradies. And she was able to do her book launch online, share some of her insights around gaining profits for tradies. And she was able to reach her objective of getting that book sold out to tradies. So the fourth success factor that I really think is really important, and I know a lot of people struggle with this, is knowing what assets you've got. What is it that you have that you can offer that will be really valued by a prospective partner? I think this one is a tricky one for some people. And I want to share an example with you. Restaurant Profits is run by Howard Tinker. Howard is a really experienced marketer who specializes in the hospitality industry. Absolutely lovely man as well. Now, when COVID hit, we knew that the hospitality trade was really decimated. And what they really needed was that they needed to understand what marketing strategy they needed to be using to get through this COVID period. And that was something that Howard has a deep expertise in. So he partnered up with My Guest List, which is an online software program for the hospitality industry, and they ran a joint webinar together. So Howard was successful here because he really understood what it was that would be valued. He understood his assets, and that was really in his expertise. Now, the fifth success factor that I really wanted to bring your attention is that I believe partnerships are a way of doing business. They're not something that you just start up and do once and, focus in on for 2 or 3 months. It's something you do day in, day out. And when I look back at my clients over the last two or so years, it's been the ones that have, put an hour aside every week just to focus in on their partners. That have been really successful. Consistency always wins with your partnerships. A great example here, some of you may know Harvey Penny. He is the one down in the bottom right-hand corner listed here as the half decent one. Harvey Penny is someone that I've had the pleasure of working with for a couple of years. Harvey is actually the co-founder of Inspire Accountings. He has subsequently left and started up Accountants for Good. Harvey is a partnership maestro anyway. So he came into my program and he said, I do these at an 8 out of 10 and I want to take them next level. Harvey is someone that has been so consistent with his at seeking out partnerships. It's something that he does day in and day out. And that's why he has so much success. In fact, a year ago, he was approached by Movember to be one of the international faces of Movember. And what you're seeing up on the screen right now is one of the billboards that was used as part of that campaign. So that in turn has really lifted Harvey's profile and also makes him far more partner friendly to other particular partnerships as well. So if we have a look at those 5 success factors, it's really about adopting that opportunity mindset. When you're presented with the challenge, how could you use a partnership to overcome that? Always wins. The second one, it's so vital that you demonstrate mutual value to all parties, and always lead with putting your prospective partner, if you're approaching someone, first. What value can you bring to them first and foremost? The third success factor we talked about is it's got to be steeped in your business objectives. Start with your business objectives first and then look at how partnerships can help you. The fourth thing is really understanding what your assets are. So what it is that you've got to offer that might be valued by a prospective partner. And finally, it's all about consistency. I really encourage all my clients to have a certain time aside every single week to be working on partnerships, whether that's meeting new contacts, doing outreach, whether that's maintaining existing relationships. It's super, super important. So far we've had a look at those 7 ideas on ways that you could use partnerships to grow your business. We've now talked about the success factors that you need to be thinking about and adopting if you're going to be successful. Some people, if they would like some help with partnerships, what I want to say, you're not alone. What I see is the 3 issues that a lot of small business and entrepreneurs face is straight up, a lot of them don't know where to start with your partnerships. I've given a lot of examples of partnerships that I've used, but the common question I get is, well, where did you start? How did you do that if you didn't know someone there? So that's a common issue that I see. The second thing that I hear from a lot of small business owners is that they're not sure who might make a good partner for their business, that they find a bit tricky. And then thirdly, they're not 100% sure on what it is that they could offer a partner or what it is that they could ask for in return. They really are not sure about what the kind of rules are with partnerships.
Based on this, I've actually created the Partnership Mastery Program. Now, this program is delivered over 6 weeks, and I work with you one-on-one via 6 60-minute strategy sessions. And you're able to record these sessions so that you can go back and consolidate your learning and have this resource forever. Now, the overall outcome of the Partnership Mastery Program is that I am going to show you how to successfully identify and create your own really meaningful partnerships that are going to accelerate your success by delivering you closer to achieving each of your business objectives. I've been brought on so many times by organisations to identify partners for them, but I get the greatest kick in giving someone that skill to be able to do it for themselves, because I know that those benefits are going to be really long lasting. They go on forever. So the program, as I said, is taught over 6 weeks. And it's got 4 very clear elements. The first one is a learning element. So in the first half of each one of our strategy sessions, I will teach you my partner methodology. This is my framework, which I've been successfully using and my clients have also been successfully using for the past 14 years. So we spend the first half of each session really going through the learning, a different section of my framework, and it's really covering off the how-to element. And within that, I will share with you a number of case studies to really help you with your learning, but show you those case studies are things that I might have done, but they're also things things that my clients might have done first. So that's the first section about learning. The second section is actually around implementation, because what we do is we then take this theory and we start applying it into your business. What does this mean for your business? What are the action steps that you need to be taking to apply this directly into your business? So we do that we start to do that within our session. So sometimes there is a small amount of homework outside where I will get you to follow up, but we start that implementation within the session. Now, the third element is asset development, and there is one unique partnership asset that you will be creating over the course of the 6 weeks. And that is something that I introduced a number of years ago, and it is really accelerating the success of my clients, because what it's allowing them to do is accelerate their partnership discussions. But in the process of creating this asset, they get super clear on what it is that they can offer their potential partners. So I see a great deal of confidence being built in my clients just by going through this process alone. So that's the third element of the program. And the fourth element of the program is all around resources. I will be sharing with you templates, I'll be sharing scripts with you, and I'll be sharing actual partnership proposals that I've successfully used. You are going to have a huge amount of support through this. So if you have ever been that person where you don't know where to start with partnerships, you don't know what it is that you could potentially offer, you don't know how to reach out and what it is that you should say, this program is going to answer all of these questions for you and a whole lot more. Now, if you are interested, the cost of the program is $4,995 plus GST. 50% of that is invoiced to you at the commencement of the program, with the final 50% payment at the end of the program. And if this does interest you, I'd really encourage you to book a 30-minute call with me. This is a great opportunity for me to answer any questions that you might have around the program, and ways that I could help and support you through your partnership journey. I hope to speak with you soon.